right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, fellow pandemonium travelers. This is Seattle Pandemonium Shutdown Day 215 by my count. And, the meltdown continues. I mean, I need to actually review my my gubernatorial debate from last night. I feel like they scheduled it at a terrible time. I think it was scheduled at the same time as the VP debate, which is a good idea or a bad idea depending on what side or how strong you think your candidate is. What's going on? What's going down? No, I do feel like I need to watch that and make sure I dial in my vote appropriately, because I will be voting. Oh, I will be voting. And unless the challenger to Inslee is some kind of socialist or some kind of Klan member or something, I will be most likely voting against. Oh, come on, Seattle Metro, get it together. I will be voting against Inslee. That's just kind of how that's going to go. I am not impressed with that man's performance. What's going down? Well, there's a lot of critique of the VP debate last night. It's one of these things, like, a lot of times the VP debates are really just kind of a dead stick. Like, there's no real, like, the VP appointments or nominations or whatever are kind of secondary, or it's just not really that high of a priority. But that's not the case in this election, because both of our nominees for president are freaking old balls. They are old, and if you can't tell, they both essentially exhibit symptoms of being old. And I'm not trying to pick on them for being old, but they, Trump has a horrible, a verbal economy, or a word economy, they call it. Like, he just says things, and it's just, you're not sure if it's grounded in reality or not. And then you got Biden, who just sort of like collapses in on himself and like gives up on trying to talk. Sometimes you're just like, the thing. And you're like, what? You can't talk to... He's going to talk to Vladimir Putin like that. Like, he's just going to, we want to have a trade deal and the nuclear weapon reduction. And I don't know. What? Are they pumping him full of amphetamines or something to get him up? I don't know. But so, because of these factors, risk factors, there's more attention being paid to the VP picks. And last night, we had Mike Pence versus Kamala, I don't know, I don't care. Kamala Harris. And what happened? Well, on the one hand, what you think was going to happen happened, in the sense that, she repeated the left-wing talking points, and then he repeated the right-wing talking points. And so, just to make sure you know which side they're on, the Trump administration's handling of COVID was fine, and Kamala's like, yeah, Green New Deal, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what they're going to say before you watch the friggin' thing, right? However, and I will agree with various pundits on this specific point, is I think Mike Pence basically won, at least in the sense that I called him a smooth operator. I got a few likes on Twitter with that line. He's a smooth operator, and what I mean is he just sort of stayed in the pocket. Like he just kind of, he's the opposite of Trump. Trump will yell and talk over you and make fun of how you look and all this stuff. Mike Pence just sort of sticks to the sort of talking points and just maintains his tone of voice, his pacing, and his, I want to call it a sternness. He's just sort of a stalwart fellow, right? Whereas Kamala has to, and she did this to herself a little bit. No. Hard no. She did this to herself a little bit, trying to play up like her blackness, I guess. She's a strong black woman of color, so she has to kind of be sassy because she's created that persona for herself. And they did this by showing off her, her footwear and stuff. And not subtly, like there's like TikToks and things where they focus on her footwear and her changing her different types of shoes. And I'll have to go try to find it. It's really something. It was campaign promotion material. It was not, had some production value, but it's meant to again, I said this before and I think it's gross, but it was meant to try to be, I think, outreach to the black community. See, you guys like shoes. I like shoes too. I'm like, what? It's just so like blatant and weird though. It's just pandering nonsense. But so she did that to herself. She created that pocket for herself that she has to kind of like be that character. So then she has to act that way. And Pence just has to like repeat the quote-unquote facts, the quote-unquote facts, the facts of, the right-wing talking point, and be a stern, serious white father kind of figure. She has to try to critique it and be sassy and, like, be cute. And she sort of like shot herself in the foot by, like, trying to pass that off as being competent. And I think it's either just a critique that a lot of people already, they put it out there because for political reasons, they already don't agree with her, but they point it out and you can see it. Like, it's not that it's true or false, it's that you can point it out and then it's sort of at least partially true. You can at least see the critique. Now, you could say Pence is carrying water for the Trump administration, but that's what he's kind of supposed to do. Now, something that we used to do, I believe, if I remember my history, it used to be that, like, if you had a political faction or political party, the majority vote would take the presidency, and then the losing sort of minority vote would take the VP slot, so that you had representation for the minority party in the executive branch. I don't know. Maybe we need to do that again. Maybe that would fix some of the hyper-partisan, politics and punditry and whatnot. I don't know. But, no, I agree. I agree with a lot of people. There's various polls that sort of show that people thought Pence sort of blew her out of the water. He's just like he's older, but not old, not like Biden old. He's still pretty sharp. And he's sort of savvy. Like, you can see the gears turning in his head, so he's a little bit calculated, but in a way that is, fairly effective. It's probably part of why Trump picked him in the first place. And Kamala has she has an appeal. I understand. Like, she's kind of charismatic too, but like in this particular field, in this space of arguing minutia of the timeline of who did what and when and who's responsible for what, especially in terms of like coronavirus and everything and the pandemic and everything. Pence just was more collected and was able to have a holding pattern. He just has to hold position, stick to the specific points that work for the Republican timeline, the pro-Trump, she bedazzled her car, and it's got a it's got My Little Ponies on it. You see the My Little Pony? What's going on? It's the second weird car I've seen in Seattle. Well, amongst others. I mean, just filming these videos, I've seen a few. My Little Pony'd out her Audi. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I think Pence kind of carried it. I sort of expected that. And I again will repeat my sort of conspiracy theory that has gotten a little bit of pushback, but also has some support, which is that the Democrats are not actually trying to win the White House. I put the tweet out. I said they're not trying to win, and I had libs come at me and be like, "Oh no, we want the White House, but we also want all the down ballot stuff." And it's like, well, yeah, I know you'd like it all. I just don't think that there's effort being put in to take back the executive branch. I think the focus is on down ballot and state level stuff. Because I believe, if I recall, the Democrats lost a lot of governorships and mayoral seats and things like sheriff's departments. Like they lost all these different seats all over the country back in 2016. It was like a giant red wave, right? So they want to take back the state level stuff because in reality, guys, that's why a lot of your state level stuff is actually more important than the federal stuff. I know the federal stuff is important, but if we change governors in this election, we might get a new governor, and our new governor will be like, yeah, we're not doing that CDC lockdown stuff anymore. Reopen, game on. And that will completely change what this recovery looks like. It could put people at risk for the pandemic if the pandemic continues after we reopen everything. But Inslee is going to continue the policy of keeping everything locked down because, we don't want a single death on his hands, is what the issue is. So your local and state level elections are important. I've never realized it as much as before as now. Our mayor, I think our mayor needs to go. I think our governor needs to go. Our state reps and our senators, I don't know, maybe they need to go too. I haven't reviewed or critiqued them specifically, and that's kind of a problem, right? The president's only one sort of factor in this whole shit show. So, that being said, critiquing Kamala for they were saying Pence was mansplaining to Kamala, and that is not a valid defense of Kamala or her performance or Mike Pence. If these people become elected to office, they have to be able to sit across the table from countries we might go to war with, the leaders, and talk to them. And if some leader from another country condescends or mansplains to a female elected official, saying they were mansplaining is not a defense, it's not a rebuttal, it's not okay. They need to be able to hold their own, and if they can't, then they shouldn't be elected. That's that. So, that's enough for me for a Thursday. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.